Good morning, friends. It's Wonderful Wednesday. How is everybody? Are you having a good day so far? Did everybody get their coffee? I know I've had my coffee. I woke up at 4 this morning. I don't know what was going on, but I was like wide awake. So I got up and I was crocheting and watching, what is that called? Love Island. Oh, yes. It's a crazy way to start your day with Love Island at 4 in the morning. I know, I know. What's wrong with me? Anywho, I did get ambitious yesterday and I finished my blanket, the one we named yesterday. This is the Ripples of Love blanket. And it is a from the center. This blanket is going to be for donations, for a donation. But you start in the center and work your way out. It's a very easy repeat. I wanted something that was super easy to do so I could just sit in my chair, watch TV, and just kind of not have to think and count and all of those things. So that's why I came up with this pattern. So, anyhow, I finished this one yesterday. I ended up doing a total of 6 sections, and then I added one more, which was the ruffle. Obviously, we were working on the ruffle yesterday, but that's how the ruffle turned out once I got it completely finished. So we ended up with a total of 7 rows. I know, Pam, it is too early for Love Island. My husband got up and he was getting his coffee and he's like, "Oh, good Lord, what are you watching this morning, woman?" But I couldn't help it. I was up early, you know? So, anyhow, this is called the Ripples of Love blanket. And we're going to make one of these from scratch this morning. And I picked out a new color palette. So let me put this one to the side because it's rather large to have on my lap as I'm trying to crochet. Bear with me here as I try to get my I don't have enough workspace here in front of me, so we gotta move this one to the side. I do have another one that I have going, and that one is I don't know if that's gonna sit there. Here, let me try to put this one over here. He can chill there. I have another one that I started, and this one is in variegated yarn, not variegated, ombre yarn. This one is Premier. So again, I started from the center and I just let the colors do their thing. You can still see the little sections. So if you wanted to do this and not control the color, it works really well for that as well. Angie, good morning. Welcome. Pam, thank you so much for the heart me. RN, good morning. Thank you so much. I don't remember the exact colorway this is, but it's one of the premier ombre yarns. There's a bunch of these out there in the market. No, I'm sitting in my recliner, Alicia. I have to crochet in my chair. So anyhow, we're going to start a brand new one of these blankets from the very beginning. Ruth, good morning. Welcome. This is how we start the center. It's very, very easy. And this is um, a repeater blanket. Okay. So as you're doing this, we're going to be repeating this little section right here. And we simply are going to do a half double, a double crochet, a crisscrossed double crochet, back to a double crochet, and then a half double. So it is literally 1, 2, 3, 4, a 5 row repeat, and it's very easy to remember. So that's the beautiful part of that. And you start in the center. The center is worked a little different other than the repeat. So after you get your center made, then you start repeating these sections as you go. So I had made this square. I kind of keep it sitting next to me as a point of reference. Let me move this blue blanket out of the way as well, so I can show you the new yarns that I've picked out for this morning. Hopefully, y'all are going to like them. So, this is how the palette is going to look. Let me see if I can make sure YT gets to see all the colors. So, I picked a total of 6 different colors. Now, we need a total of 7 rows for this blanket for the size that I'm going to do. It's going to be about 42 by 42. And so, I kind of laid out a little card as a point of reference to try to envision how this was going to go. So, this group of 4 colors right here is all I Love This Yarn by Hoblob. I'm going to start in the very center with River Ripple. It is a like variegated yarn, but it's a very subtle variegate. It's this one right here that you can see. Um, then I'm going to do Linen, which is kind of a off-white color. Then I am going to do Arctic Ice, which is a very pale blue, followed by Sea Blue. And then I was kind of I was feeling like beach vibes, right? Beach vibes. And so I thought, well, what if I pull in a buff fleck? So it's a little hard to see that on the card, but it's going to have these little splotches within the yarn. So I feel like it'll make it kind of feel like beachy. And then for the second to last row, I'm going to do Big Twist, Dark Teal. So Big Twist, Red Heart Super Saver, and then all of these are, I love this yarn Hoblob. I'm going to need to do a ruffle on this as well. So I think what I'm going to do is maybe do the sea blue on top of the dark teal, or maybe the Arctic ice as the final outer scalloped shell thing that we did yesterday. So that's kind of where I'm going with this for the colors. So we're going to start here at the very beginning with the River Ripple, and we're going to make it into a square. So we're going to make this square right here with this colorway. I went shopping in the yarn room or the yarn barn. Yeah, a little of all of it. Except Arctic ice will show dirt. Uh, Arctic ice will show dirt. I mean, I'm gonna donate it, so if somebody wants to get it dirty, that's fine. This is gonna be machine washable. I'm not gonna worry about that. I like to crochet with colors that I enjoy. So, I'm not too worried about all of that. Constance, good morning, welcome. Beery, welcome, good morning. I wanted to feel beachy, right? It's summertime. I think of waves and shores and that kind of stuff. Shan, good morning, welcome. Um, Oh, you mean around the outside? Yeah, I was thinking maybe sea blue for the ruffle. I don't know. I have to figure that out. That's a later Wheeler problem. At any rate, we're going to use this color palette right here to make this blanket today. Eva, welcome. Good morning. Little Red, good morning. Thank you so much for the Go Popular. Queen, good morning. Thank you for the heart me. Welcome in, everybody. Susan, good morning. Part of the fun of crocheting, right, is being able to pick the colors. So let me move these back a little bit so I can kind of get set up here, and we're going to talk through this square. I only need one of each, except for I might need, whatever I choose the ruffle for, I might need a second one. I'm going to make a 42 by 42 blanket, so it's not going to be super huge. It's going to be just kind of, um, you know, a nice size for like a kid, or maybe to go to a hospital or something like that. I'm going to give this to Project Linus when it's done. Queen, thank you so much for the hand heart. Susan, thank you so much for sharing the live. All of this yarn today is a 4-weight acrylic, 100% acrylic, machine washable and dryable. And I'm going to use an I9, a 5.5 millimeter crochet hook. Okay. So that's the details. Back to our little square here, let's talk through how we're going to do this. So for the very first part of our blanket, we're going to be working in the round. If you don't know what that term means, in the round means we're going to work it like a granny square, and we're just going to go around and around and around until we get it as big as we want it. Gen X Girl, thank you so much for the picnic dog. Vicky, thank you so much for the coffee magic. Kelly, good morning, welcome. Queen of Hearts, thank you so much. Yeah, I'm very excited about this project. So for the very first part, I tried to keep this blanket super, super easy. Okay. So we're going to work it like a granny square. All we're going to do is 3 double crochets 4 times, and I'm going to put 2 chains in between each one. So literally just like you would begin your granny square. So let me get the River Ripple. That's kind of a tongue twister this early in the morning. And I'm going to start with a magic ring. Now, of course, if you don't like the magic ring, you could also start with a chain of 3 or a chain of 4. There is not going to be a written pattern for this for Naz. I literally just made this blanket up the other day, and all I'm going to have is this video tutorial that we're making right now, live and in person. I am live this morning, both on TikTok and on YouTube, and the video will be on YT so that you can rewatch it. Okay, so 2 different ways to start your center. We can start with a chain of 3 or 4. 1, 2, 3. I prefer a chain of 3, but you could always do 4. Then come back to your very first stitch and join with a slip stitch, and then work your granny stitches into the very center of that ring that you make. Okay, so that is step number 1 that you could start this blanket. Vicki, good morning. Welcome. Step number 2 is the magic ring, if you prefer to do that. I'm going to do the Wheeler magic ring. And to do this, I wrap my yarn around my hook and I bring a loop down. And I hold the crisscross between my middle finger and my thumb. I just kind of hold it like this. My ring points out to the right. RN, I'm using a I9, a 5.5 millimeter. Now, instinctively, you're going to want to work through the center of this ring. Instead, what we're going to do is we're going to work on our working yarn up here, um, and we're going to make this magic ring. So I come and I'm going to put a standing double crochet into the ring. That's my mission here. We're going to wrap our yarn around twice so we have 2 loops on our hook. Then I'm going to bring my hook down, and now I'm going to go through that magic ring. So I go under the loop. I'm also going to go under this tail. So I'm going to go under both. Then I'm going to yarn over and pull up a loop. So we have 3 loops on our hook. And now all I'm going to do is complete the double crochet. Yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over and pull through 2. So now I have a standing double inside of my magic ring. Now we need 2 more double crochets. Word of caution, as you're doing this, even if you do the chain of 3 or 4 method, you always want to bring your tail along for the ride. And as you do this, you're going to work under both of these strands. So I'm going to do 2 more double crochets so that we have a total of 3. So we have our first granny cluster for the very center. Now we're going to chain 2. And once again, we need to work another granny cluster right into that magic ring. Again, working over the tail as well. So work over both, 2 more double crochets. So we have a total of 3. Guys, we're going to be doing a lot of stitch talk this morning. We're working on a new blanket here, okay? So bear with me. I will try to pause in between and answer general questions. Chat, help me out today if you can. If you know the answer to the question that somebody's asking, feel free to chime in and help out our fellow crocheters and chat members. We're going to chain 2, and now we need another granny cluster. So we need 3 more double crochets. You can always pull on your tail, tighten that magic ring if you need to. There is our third granny cluster, chain 2, and now we need 3 more. This is called the Ripples of Love blanket, the Ripples of Love. We named it yesterday on the chat in the live. Chain 2, and now I'm going to join with a slip stitch to my very first stitch. Maggie, good morning. I am in my recliner this morning. I crochet from my recliner. It's the only place that I can crochet. I can't crochet at a desk. It hurts my back. So, we're not too fancy over here. Y'all are sitting right here in the living room with me in my recliner. Maggie, good morning. Thank you for being here this morning. Reset, good morning. Welcome. Simply Eva, that is my nemesis, the magic ring. Well, I showed in the very first, you don't have to do the magic ring. A lot of people like doing it, but it is totally up to you. I do have a tutorial on my TikTok of how to do a magic ring the Wheeler style. All right. So we have completed the very center of our blanket. Okay, we're working this in the round. So for our next round, what we need to do is we started with a side that has 3 stitches. 3 stitches is an odd number. This blanket, for the majority of it, I am working in increments of 2. So we're doing a lot of crisscross double crochets with this pattern. And so what we need to do for our next round is we need to make this an even number. We need to take it from 3 to an even number. So we're going to work very easy, 2 double crochets in the corner, chain 2, and then 2 double crochets. Then we're going to work a crisscross double crochet. But instead of working on the top of the stitch, what we're going to do is we're going to drop it down and we're going to work that around the post of the stitch below. We're actually going to work it in between. I'll show you how to do this. And in doing this, what it does is it eliminates one of the 3 stitches and gets us down to an even number. And then we're going to repeat the corner. Okay, so very, very easy to get that into a working number. Again, guys, this is the color palette that we are doing. We're starting right now with River Ripple. All of these colors right here are, I love this yarn from Hoblob, River Ripple, Linen, Arctic Ice, Sea Blue. Then as I get towards the outside, I'm going to switch to a Red Heart Super Saver, Buff Fleck, and then I'm going to follow with a Big Twist in dark teal. Okay, that is the color palette. So what I'm going to do now is I ended right here in the first stitch. I need to come back and work into this working corner. Now, a lot of people like to do a half double join into the corner. That's fine if you like to do that. I'm not quite that fancy. So what I will do is I will turn my work and then I will do a slip stitch into the corner just to move that yarn back. And then I will flip it over so that I'm in the corner now ready to start. And I'm going to start with a standing double. Now, if you do not like to do the standing double, you most certainly could do a chain of 3 here. If you like to do a stacked single, you definitely could do that as well. However you like to do your double crochet. For mine, I pull up a loop that I envision to be about the height of a double crochet. I twist my hook towards me and away from me, and I put a little twist in my yarn. Then I go down through the corner space, I yarn over, and I pull up a loop, so now we have 2 loops on our hook. Then I yarn over. Word of caution here, you're not going to go under both loops. I go under the first loop only because we want to maintain 2 loops on our hook for this standing double. Then I twist my hook away from me and back towards me and put a little twist here. I still have 2 loops on my hook. Then I yarn over and pull through both. And that is my standing double crochet. Now I need in this corner another double crochet so that we have a total of 2, chain 2, and then right back down into that corner, we need 2 more double crochets. Okay, and that's our corner. 2 doubles, chain 2, 2 doubles. Melinda, welcome. Good morning. Princess and CT, welcome. Good morning. JT in the house. Good morning, friend. Guys, we're doing a lot of stitch talk today. You could do a chain of 2, Sammy. That's totally fine. When I do a standing double, it looks more like a double crochet. You'll see that more as I come back around and join, but I like the look of it better. Francis, good morning. Donna, good morning. Welcome. Rosemary, good morning. Rena, welcome in. Welcome in, everybody. We are working on a blanket today, so we're doing a lot of stitch talk. This is a brand new pattern that I'm developed, I don't know, last week, I guess it was. And I finished one blanket with it. I did post a video this morning of the pink blanket that we worked on yesterday, and it's all finished. So if you want to see how the blanket looks completed, you can watch that video. But we're getting started here in the very center. We're going to work on this through tomorrow as well. Okay, after you finish your corner, we're going to now work our crisscrossed double crochet. Normally when we work a crisscross, we work up here in the top under both the front and back loops. Instead, what we're going to do is we're going to skip the first stitch, we're going to skip the second stitch, and in between the second and third, we're going to work a double crochet. So I yarn over, I'm not working on top, I'm going to go into the space and double crochet. Okay, now what I need to do is I need to make this so it's crisscrossed. In order to do that, I'm going to come back to the first 2 stitches and I'm going to work a double crochet back this direction. So all I do is yarn over, bring my hook back, go down through that space, all the way out the back, yarn over, pull up a loop. So we have 3 loops on our hook, yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through 2. And now we have a crisscrossed double. You can start with a chain of 2 or a chain of 3 for your center if you'd like, or a chain of 4, however many you like doing for your granny squares. Whatever you think there, Rena, is totally fine. I did a magic ring to begin. Can you show again? Yes, I'm gonna keep going with these, Nana. Bear with me here. We're gonna do these a lot in this blanket. Okay, after you have your crisscross, we're gonna come over here to the corner now. I'm not gonna chain or anything, and now we need 2 double crochets, chain 2, and 2 double crochets. And now we have finished the first side. Okay. Now we're ready to do another crisscross. So for the crisscross, again, we have 3 stitches here for our granny cluster. Yes, Brenda, we are live this morning both on TikTok and on YT, and you can watch the live replay on YT after the live today. Just look for the live tab and then look. It'll be a pink image, but that's what you're looking for is a pink blanket that's called Ripples of Love. Okay, we're going to skip the first stitch. We're going to skip the second stitch. Instead of working up here on top, we're going to split those 2 posts apart between the second to last, and we're going to work a double crochet. This is a crisscross double crochet. Yarn over, right down through the post, pull up a loop. So we have 3, yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through 2. Okay, so we've completed our first double crochet. Now we need to make this so it crisscrosses. So we're going to come back here where we started. These 2 stitches right here, we're going to split those apart, and we're going to work our next double right in between those 2 posts. So again, yarn over, bring your hook down through those stitches, all the way out the back side, yarn over, pull up a loop. So we have 3 loops. You need to pull this up a little taller, and then yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through 2. So now we have a crisscrossed double crochet. Now we're back to the corner, no chain or anything, 2 double crochets, chain 2, and 2 double crochets. And now we are ready for another crisscross. So once again, your 3 stitches, your granny cluster, you're going to skip the first 2 and work a double crochet right in between. Yarn over, down in, double crochet. Now we're going to pick up that stitch that we missed. We've got to come back the other direction, working between stitch 1 and 2 in the space. Bring your hook down, all the way through, out the other side. We're almost enclosing this other stitch. Pull up a loop. So we have 3 loops, yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through 2. Nina, I love this crisscross stitch. I use it a lot for baby blankets. It gives a really nice texture, really, really nice texture. We're making a blanket this morning, AK. We're making a blanket. We're just getting started. It's going to be worked in the round. This is called the Ripples of Love blanket. So now we're ready to go back into that corner. 2 double crochets, chain 2, and 2 double crochets. Okay. I want to try something over here on YouTube. I kind of like that better. Okay. So now here we are back to our granny cluster. We have 3 stitches. Once again, we're going to skip the first, skip the second. In between the second to last and the last, we're going to do a double crochet. Yarn over, ignore the stitches on top, work in between those posts, and double crochet. Okay, now we're going to make this double crochet crisscross. So in order to do that, we come back to the very first 2 stitches. We're going to work in between those posts, wrap our yarn around, down in between, all the way through, pull up a loop. So we have 3 loops, yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through 2. Now I'm going to join with a slip stitch to our very first stitch that we had here. And I'm going to slip stitch my way over to the corner. So I'm going to do another slip stitch and another slip stitch just to move myself from point A to point B. Okay, So here is where we're at now with our little square. My thing is singing to me. Oh, that was so cool. I'm like, my phone is singing to me. Thank you so much. Who sent that? Uh, Three Stripe, thank you so much for the roses. Who sent the singing thing? Was that Sparky that sent that? Oh my gosh, that was really cute. I didn't get to see the name of who sent it. Oh yeah, it must be new, right, Winter? Oh my gosh. Fancy music. Y'all, that stopped me right in my tracks, right? Who sent that? I love you, whoever sent that. Oh, Kazzy, my friend from down under. Thank you so much, Kazzy. Thank you. I'm like, my phone is singing to me. What is even happening right now? Y'all, that was precious. Thank you all so much for the gifts this morning. Y'all are too nice. Oh my goodness. Wow. I'm blushing. All right. We're ready to talk about round number 3. I promise round number 3 is going to be very, very easy. The crisscross round is going to be the most complicated thing we do with this blanket. All right. The rest is easy peasy. So for our next round, we're going to come back and we're going to put 2 double crochets in the corner, chain 2, and 2 double crochets. All we're going to do next is work a double crochet into each stitch all the way across. And then we're coming back to the corner with our 2 doubles. So in total, for round number 3, we're going to have 2, 4, 6, 8, a total of 10 double crochets. All right, we got this. We can do this. Now, I like to do this with a standing double, but of course you could do a chain of 3 here or a chain of 2 if you like. You could do a stacked single here if you like. That's totally acceptable as well. But here you go. We're going to do the Wheeler standing double because it's my favorite. I'm going to pull up a loop. Oh, Mom, thank you. I know we have such a good group here, don't we? I appreciate all the participation. Y'all are amazing. I'm going to pull up a loop so that it's about the height of a double crochet. Then I'm going to twist my hook towards me and away from me. All I'm doing is putting a little twist in my yarn. Then I'm going to bring my hook down, go through the space, yarn over, pull up a loop so we have 2 loops on our hook. Yarn over, word of caution, pull under the first loop only. We want to maintain 2 loops on our hook. Then I twist down and away from me so that I can maintain those 2 loops. Yarn over, pull through both. That is our standing double. Now we're going to go right back down into that corner space with another double crochet, chain 2, and now we need 2 more double crochets right back down into that corner. That's going to be our corner for the entire round, okay? Now we're going to start working double crochets into the stitches along the top. We're not going to skip any. We're just going to do every one. So in the top, I'm working under both the front and back loop, and we're just going to place a single double crochet, a single double, an individual double crochet into the top of each of the stitches. Hook and heart, we are making a blanket this morning. We're just getting started. This is called the Ripples of Love. Can you explain why you are doing a standing double over a stacked single? I most certainly could. So when you do a stacked single, it is a little wider of a stitch. When you do a chain 2 or a chain 3, it makes it so that it's a little skinnier of a stitch. When I work it looks a little twisted when you first make it like this. But when I work a standing double to begin with, this is the top of the stitch here. Let me pull this up so y'all can see this. When I work this standing double, sorry, it's hard to grab onto here. It looks more similar to a regular double. This is a regular double crochet here, and this is the standing double. So it makes it so that I can carry my yarn around and I don't have to cut and tie off. It makes it so that I don't have too skinny of a stitch here, and the stacked single is a little wider. So when I come back around, we will do I'll show you all three the difference, okay? So again in the corner, 2 double crochets, chain 2, 2 doubles. Now in the top of every stitch, once again, we're doing 1 double crochet in each of the stitches. Julie, welcome in from Newfoundland. Nice to have you here this morning. Nicole, thank you so much for sharing the live. I am doing 2 doubles in each of the corner, 2 doubles, chain 2, and then 2 doubles. Oh, there's the sunshine. Wow, I thought we were going to have a rainy day schedule here today, and now that sun is peeking out. So in the corner, 2 doubles, chain 2, and 2 doubles. Now working along the side, we had 6 stitches. We're going to put 1 stitch in the top of each one of those doubles. We're going to work under both the front and back loop. At the end of every side, you should have a total of 10 double crochets. My ex threw out all of my yarn, so I got to start over. Oh, flight attendant, I'm sorry to hear that. That's hitting hard right there. That's like below the belt kind of situation, right? Oh, I would have been steamy, my friend. I would have been steamy. All right, back into the corner, 2 double crochets, chain 2, and 2 double crochets. I know, Paloma, I'm kind of tired of the rain too. It sure makes the joints ache, doesn't it? Nikki, good morning. Welcome. Nicole, thank you so much for sharing the live. Thanks for being here this morning, friends. Okay, back along the side, we have our 3 stitches. We need 1 double crochet in each one. This colorway that I'm using right now is Hoblob. I love this yarn in the colorway River Ripple. This is the first colorway we're going to use for this blanket. We're going to use a total of 6 different colors. Oh, we've got a knot right there. Well, I guess it's perfect timing. Not really. Look at that. Ugh. All right, so let's talk about factory knots here, friends, because I'll tell you what, I am not a fan of factory knots. And in fact, I don't knot my work in the middle like this ever. Of course, you can if you want to do a magic knot. I know a lot of people like to do that. But my personal preference is I would not do this here. Where I would do it is back here in the corner. That way I can tie that off and then weave in my ends. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to snip off this knot situation. Naughty, naughty knot. All right, we're going to get that knot out of the way. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to frog back to the corner to my second stitch. And this is how I tie on my work. I don't actually knot it, okay? So this is our stitch finished. I'm going to slide my hook into the top of this stitch and I'm going to pull back this loop so that that stitch is not finished. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my new yarn. I give myself a long tail to weave in. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to yarn over and pull through 2 to finish that stitch. Then I'm going to do my chain of 2. And now I'm going to work those 2 double crochets back in to finish my corner stitch. Okay. So now we're back to 2 double crochets, chain 2, 2 double crochets. Darlene, welcome. Crochet 26. Good morning. All right. Now I know y'all are sitting there going, well, that's great, but what are you going to do with those tails? So let's go ahead and weave in the tails so that you guys can see how I do this. This doesn't happen a lot to me on the live, but when it does, let's use this as kind of a learning opportunity. Let's get rid of all that excess yarn. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get my darning needle. You can get these with plastic. I just use these little metal cheapy guys. And I'm going to thread that onto my needle. I pinch my yarn very tightly, right like this, and then I slide it on like that. I don't try to thread it because I have reading glasses on, but I'll tell you what, I can't even hardly see that anymore. Okay, so this yarn is coming down through here. I'm going to hide this tail under these stitches right here. So first thing I'm going to do, now as I work this, I'm not just going under these stitches, I'm trying to get this yarn tucked into this chain space that we did as well. And what my mission here is I'm trying to split the fibers, okay? So, a lot of you are like, "All right, well that's great. What does that mean?" So, when you look at a strand of yarn, it is twisted it's not every yarn is this way, but the yarn we're using today is a twisted strand. So what that means is in the factory, they have 4 strands of individual yarn and they twist it during the manufacturing process to give us this one strand. So as I'm working this tail into my work, I'm not trying to go underneath all 4 of those strands. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to split the fibers, which means I'm trying to put my needle through the middle of it. And I'm not just going to go under the stitches, I'm going to try to go under that chain we know that's hiding. As I go back the other direction, I'll also try to get it within that tail. The more it twists upon itself and is buried in there, the less chance you will have of this coming out. And the other thing is, you have to do this a minimum of 3 times. So as I go through, I'm trying to like pick my way through and split those fibers very steadily and then pull that through. As you do this back and forth more and more times, you will feel it like grabbing onto the yarn. So we've gone 3 times through. I'm now going to do it 4 and 5. And then I'm going to snip off. So every time I try to get a little different avenue, and I do this from the back of my work. Okay. Snip off. I promise you that is not coming undone. There's been times I've tried to come back and undo my own, and I end up having to cut my work. I cannot get it undone. Then we also have this tail here. Now, I worked this tail under this space. This is what the front looks like. Okay. My work is still perfect. You can't, don't even know that my tail is hidden in there. But it already is getting a little bulkier. So whenever I snip off, I try to give myself a very, very long tail because I'm actually going to weave this tail all the way down and I'm going to work under this section right here. And I'm going to repeat that same thing. Now, of course, you can work it in that same corner if you wish. But I just feel like when you try to do 2 of them through the same, it gets really bulky. So here we are coming out of the top. Now, as I pull on this, I want to make sure that these stitches don't get too tight. We don't want to change the look of our work. Okay, so I'm going to come down through underneath these loops. I'm going to go down here through the side, all the way down to this second layer. Okay, I will pull on this here and make sure that I'm not putting too much tension on this. I want this to still be very loose and flowy. Now I'm going to repeat this. And once again, I'm going to try to split those fibers and I'm going to go back and forth. I do it like 4 or 5 times. They say, whoever they is, to do it like a minimum of 3, but I try to do it like 4 or 5. I have the yarn. It only takes me a second. I would rather have too much. I don't want to say the word, but the over, you know, that over thing. I'd rather have that than not enough. Okay. So there's 5 times and snip off. So now I have joined on my new yarn. Now, a lot of people will say, well, gosh, that was so much work. Well, yes, it was. But the front of my work looks still really nice. I don't have any knots in my work. And I just feel like for me, I want that really clean professional look as we're looking at that. Okay. So now I'm going to resume with my new yarn I've carried on. And we have our 6 stitches. We're going to work 1 double crochet in the top of each of these stitches, working under both the front and back loop. Yeah, see, Crochet 26 said, they don't like knots in their work. I was the way that my grandma taught me is not to do knots. Um, a lot of people do knot their work, and there's nothing wrong with knotting your work, you know? It's a personal preference, so I just am trying to explain the way that I, think about things and do things. It doesn't necessarily mean it's right or wrong. For crochet, there's really, like, I don't think there's any hard, fast rules. And so I think it's up to every fiber artist to make these decisions on their self for themselves. I just, try to share what I'm doing so that people who don't know might have a different way to, think about things. When I'm doing granny squares and I'm tying on other colors, a lot of times I will knot those, but I do it because I do a standing double, which starts as a knot, and you're going to see that for our next round. But it definitely gets hidden as well. So back to our work here, we're going to join with a slip stitch to the first stitch, and then I'm going to slip stitch my way over to the corner, so I end up doing a total of 3 slip stitches, and now we're ready to start our 4th round. Mango, good morning, welcome. I am not a teacher, by profession. I am actually in the printing business, but I like to come live. I come live 3 days a week. I'm live this morning both on TikTok and on YouTube, and my handle is Wheeler 8 Acres, and I've been crocheting for I started when I was 9 and I turned 51 this year. So what's that, 42 years? I've been crocheting for 42 years. The bulk of my 42 years, I um, spent doing granny squares. That was my passion. Um, Anyhow, Crochet 26 says, I'm going to try this. The knots always comes in a bad spot and I can't hide it. That is exactly what I have learned over the years, Crochet 26, is I am the knots. I'm going to control where that hits in my work. And I always try to work it into the corner. The way that Grams explained it to me is in your corner, you have more stitches than like on the side right here. So if I was to try to hide a tail along these stitches, it's most likely going to be seen or it's going to start popping out. And so she always just said, try to work in your corner. It just makes more sense because you have more space there to hide that tail and more stitches to try to weave it back and forth. So from now on, I always just like control my little tail's destiny, I guess you could say. Okay, so back to our center of our blanket. We're almost done. We have one more row to do. And our next row, again, very, very easy row. We're going to do a row of half doubles. In the corners, same thing. I'm going to do 2 double crochets, chain 2, 2 double crochets, and then in the top of each of the stitches, I'm going to put a half double crochet. So starting in the corner, for my half doubles, I don't like to do a standing half double. I have not found anything that I like the look of it when I am carrying my yarn. So when we're in the corner here, we talked earlier about the different stitches you can do when you're starting out. So let's circle back around and let's revisit that. Now, know that I'm going to frog out whatever we do here because I do need a half double. But for this round below, we started with a standing double. And Maggie asked a great question. Why do you do a standing double instead of a chain of 3 or a chain of 2 or a stacked single? There's multiple ways you can get this started. For those that are new to crochet, the reason we have to do this first stitch different is because when we're doing double crochets into this corner, our yarn is not at a tall enough height to be able to effectively work a double crochet into this space. So if we were to just start with a double crochet where we yarn over, go down in and pull up a loop, and then yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through 2, what happens is you end up with this really leggy loop here that does not look good in your work. Okay. So over the years, different techniques have been established of what stitch you do in order to replace this stitch so you don't have this look of this really leggy loop. It's just not appealing. Okay. So the number one most used way to do this is instead of a double crochet, people will chain 3 in place of their double crochet, and then they will do their second double crochet back into that stitch. And so this chain of 3 acts in place of a double crochet. Now, some people along the way have said, well, that chain of 3 is too tall. I don't like that. Instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a chain of 2. Then I'm going to do that second double crochet. Okay. I think the chain of 2 matches the same height. This is things that they're saying to themselves, right? Everybody crochets different. So whether or not you're going to use a chain of 2 or a chain of 3 entirely depends on your personal preference and how your stitches look. So I can't be the one to say you need to do this or you need to do it that way. That's something that you're going to have to figure it out. But there is that option of doing that chain of 2 or chain of 3 in place of your double crochet. Perfectly acceptable. Another stitch that people like to do is what is called a stacked single. What we're trying to do is establish height to get it up to the same height as a double crochet. So if I do the stacked single technique, I'm going to have the loop on my hook. I go down into this space, yarn over, pull up a loop. So we have 2 loops, and yarn over, pull through 2. That is a single crochet. Once again, this single crochet is not tall enough to equal the height of a double. So what we will do is, instead of working under both these little loops that we see here, we're going to do a little cheat, and we're going to put our hook back under this first leg of the stitch. Then we're going to yarn over and pull through a loop so that we have 2 loops, and then yarn over and pull through both. This is called a stacked single. Hillary says stack single, so I go join under 2 bars like normal. Yeah, we could do that next. The reason I do not like the stacked single, again, this is a personal preference. I'm not trying to tell you the right or wrong way to do this. I feel like the stacked single width is much larger than a traditional double crochet. Yes, it's a little bulky. Some people will also do it where they go under both loops. Is that what you're saying? I don't know how you could go under both loops, because if you do that, it's going to pull out. Yeah, that doesn't really work. You have to go under just one. So anyhow, that is a stacked single. And then, no, when you come around to join, okay, I'm not sure what you mean by that, but I'll take your word for it. Okay, another way that people like to do this corner is you go through and you do a chain of 1. This chain of 1 will not count as anything. However, it gets you up high enough that now you can do your 2 double crochets. Okay, so that is another technique that people will do. Again, for me, this is too bulky. I don't like this chain of 1. I don't think it looks good. Not a fan. So what I do is I do a standing double crochet. And the way that I do the standing double is I pull up my loop so that it's about the height of a double crochet. I kind of envision in my mind how tall I need that to be. I twist my yarn towards me and away from me, and I put a loop, a little twist in my loop. Then I go down through the space. I pull up a loop, so I have 2 loops on my hook, and you'll see I pull that up kind of tall. Then I yarn over and pull through the first one only to maintain both loops on my hook. Then I twist my hook down and away from me and back up, because I want to maintain both of those loops on my hook. Then I yarn over and pull through both. And that is a standing double crochet. This is the top here, like this. Okay, so that is how I do mine. But there are all the options that you can do when you're trying to do your first double crochet round. Okay. Now, let me frog this all out, because for round number 4 that we're on, we need to do a row of half doubles. So when Sarah said, can you redo that? I absolutely can. Okay, so here we go. One more time. There's a video of this, guys, on my TikTok. You can look, there's a bunch of categories when you look at my profile, all the different, there's one that's like crochet blankets and baby blankets and all that. But look for the one that says stitch tutorials and you'll find the standing double in that category. Okay. So once again, pull my loop up to about the height of a double crochet. I twist my hook towards me and away from me. You don't have to do this step, but I find that the stitch works a little easier, like it flows better when I put a little twist here in my yarn. Then I go down through that space, pull up a loop, pull it up tall as the same height as the other, so you have two loops on your hook. Then I yarn over and I pull through just the first one because we need to maintain two loops on our hook. Then I twist my hook down and away from me and then bring it back up and put another little twist. All the time we're maintaining those two loops. And then I yarn over and pull through both. And then I would carry on and do my next double crochet like this. That's how they look. Okay. So once again, I need to frog that one more time. A lot of frog in here this morning. We're doing a lot of stitch talk today. Um, for our next round, we need to do half double crochets. In order to do the half double crochet, I like to do a chain of 2, and I use that in place of my half double crochet. Eartha, good morning, welcome. Then I need another half double crochet into that same space. Chain 2, and then half double and half double number 2. So that is how our corner is for this round. 2 half doubles, chain 2, and 2 half doubles. Amy, thank you so much for the heart me and becoming the 199th member of the fan club. Okay, now we're going to work across all these stitches. We're going to put 1 half double in each stitch. Very, very easy. We're going to work under both the front loop and the back loop for every single stitch. And what we're doing is we're setting ourselves up to be able to come back and do a little framework on this blanket and kind of get these ripples started. Okay. Karen, good morning. Welcome. User 6, thank you so much for sharing the live. Welcome in, everybody. We're working on a blanket today. This blanket is called Ripples of Love. This is a new pattern I came up with last week. It's a very easy repeating pattern of 5 rows, and it makes it really easy to veg in front of the TV. I'm using it to make blankets for Project Linus. And I just feel like it's a really fun, easy way to do it. It doesn't require me to like do a lot of counting. It just kind of flows so I can watch all the TV or listen to my book or whatever, and it's just very relaxing. So I wanted a very simple but kind of still look a little elevated, so it wasn't just a very basic like granny square. I wanted something a smidge fancier, but still be very easy to complete. So for this last round of our center, in the corner, we need 2 half doubles, chain 2, and 2 half doubles. And then all I'm doing is working a half double into each of these stitches across all the sides. Once I get done with this round, guys, I'm going to pull back out the blanket. We've had a lot of new people join on, and I'll show you the blanket. There is a video I posted this morning on TikTok. It is a pink blanket with a mulberry colored ruffle, and you can see that on my page that I released this morning if you want to see the first blanket that is finished in this pattern. This is not a granny square forever pink. We're actually working on a blanket. It's called Worked in the Round. So you basically work it just like you would do a granny square, but we're not using traditional granny square stitches. We're doing some half doubles and some crisscrosses and kind of just changing up the pattern. And then you just work all the way around and you just keep going row after row until you get it to the size that you want. Okay, now I'm going to join with a slip stitch to my very first stitch and slip stitch into the corner. And now I'm going to go ahead and snip off and we will have this tail to weave in. Oh, Plummy, you saw it. It's turned out nice, right? So here is the very center of our blanket. Okay. So let me zoom these cameras out a little bit so y'all can get the full enchilada. So for this new blanket, the colorway that we're doing is here on this card. I pulled out some yarn from the stash so that we could start this blanket. So this is what I'm envisioning. I wanted something that would be kind of a beach feel, kind of a beach vibe, if you will. So for the very center, we are using this whole section of yarn right here is I love this yarn from Hoblob, and we have River Ripple. Next, I'm going to use linen. Then I'm going to use Arctic ice. And then I'm going to use sea blue. And then for the top outer edges of the blanket, I have Red Heart Super Saver in Buff Fleck. This one actually has like little, what I envision to be bits of sand. And then for the final round of the repeater, we're going to have Big Twist in dark teal. So that there is the color palette that I've kind of picked out. And then after I do the dark teal, I'm most likely going to do a final scallop border like I did on the mulberry with the sea blue color. Okay. The pattern that we're doing today is called Ripples of Love. And this is a blanket that I'm using to donate blankets to charity. So, one of the things I like to do with these blankets is I like something that's very easy to do. And I like to be able to repeat it so I don't have to think so hard about what I'm doing. So, for example, on this blanket, we just finished this white center square. I've got this blanket folded in half, guys. It's a fully completed blanket. So, we just finished the very center. For our next part of this live today, we're going to show the repeat. And I'm going to be back tomorrow working more repeat sections on this blanket. But our next mission is this little grouping right here that you see. This is Petal Pink Red Heart. We're going to be doing a row of half doubles, a row of doubles. Then we're going to go back to doing the crisscrossed doubles, double crochets, and then half doubles. Okay. So it's literally 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows is the repeat. And I can remember it because it goes half double on the two sides, two doubles, and a crisscross in the middle. Like I can remember that, right? As I'm sitting here watching TV. And then all you do is you repeat that for however many sections you want, as big as you want. And you can see I've made this 42 inches. As I mentioned before, I'm going to be sending this blanket to Project Linus. Project Linus collects blankets. There are links on the Dcord. I have a whole bunch of places you can send your blankets to. But Project Linus collects blankets. They give them to hospitals, to any type of like children's home. They do a lot of children's blankets, assisted living facilities. They have a whole bunch of different options. This is the border that we're going to be putting on it. This is the fan. We worked on this yesterday on the live. Everybody saw me doing this border, and again, we'll be doing this again at some point as well. So that's kind of the vision that we have for this. Okay, so I hope that helps to answer questions. I need to send you info. Vanderbilt Children's needs blankets too. Yes, Kelly, send it to me, and I can put it in the Dcord so that we have it all available. Is Big Twist still available, or is this from your stash? It is from my stash, but Big Twist is still available. You can get it at the M store and also from Mary Max as well. So there's I think Hirschner's might have some too. But yes, Big Twist is definitely still available. So let me fold this back up, guys, so I can set it to the side, and we're going to be doing this repeat. Let me see if I can just set this here. My lap is only so big, you know? It's called Project Linus. Can somebody put it in the chat? You know, like how Linus carried around his baby blanket, right? From Charlie Brown. That is the name, Project Linus. So I think it references that. I don't know if it actually does, but in my mind, that's what I think of. I think about Linus and Charlie Brown. Thank you. Kelly just put it in the chat for you guys. This is where I'm going to be sending the blanket is Project Linus. But there are lots of places. Check in your local area. There might be assisted living facilities. There might be places around you. Sometimes you can go to a food bank, and food bank will have needs for blankets as well. So check out what's around you. That is the most easy way to, I think, give. I'm in a very rural community. We're pretty small here. And so in order, Project Linus for me is over in Huntsville. So I'm just going to ship them over to Huntsville. I don't like to go over there if I can help it. I'd rather stay out in the country. Janice, welcome in from Northern Ireland. Thanks for being here this morning. Lexi, good morning from Delaware. Victoria in the house, good morning. Um, Tammy says, Mary Max has. I'll be right back. Okay, sounds good. Mystery solved. Victoria, thank you so much for the Wheeler love. Let's see. I hear that it depends on where your location they can pick up. That could be Crochet 26, but I'm like an hour and a half away. Ireland, good morning. Sherilyn, this pattern is one I just made. It's called the Ripples of Love. I just made it up. There's not going to be a written pattern for this, guys. It is a very easy repeater. We are making the video this morning. So if you're going to want to make this blanket, be sure and go over to YT. Can somebody put what YT is in the chat? My handle is Wheeler 8 Acres. So we're definitely going to be making a lot of this. So that's the blanket. It's worked in the round, Miss Cheryl. Worked in the round. So I started right here. We just are finishing this. Thank you. Queen 530 said what it is right there. It's going to be on that right there. Okay. So let's go ahead and start our next colorway. So let me revisit because I completely squirreled and I forgot what color I had set up. Our next colorway is going to be linen. Now, for this next round, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be working and making it the stitches turn forward. And we're going to be creating this little line of texture. That is what gives this blanket the ripple effect, right? Of how these rows are playing out. And this is a very easy process to actually create this effect. How many people do not like doing front and back loop crochets? Raise your hand. Who doesn't like front loop and back loop? I have the solution for you if you are one that does not like those. I don't mind a front loop or a back loop. However, they're very time consuming and they slow me down. And when I'm making a blanket for charity, I want to do something nice, but I don't want something that's going to take me a week and a half to make. When I'm making a blanket for donation, I will literally sit here in my chair on a weekend and I will make a blanket a day. Over the 4th of July weekend, I made 5 blankets to donate, 40 by 40 size. So I want something that is fast, that I can move through, that looks nice. I don't want to be fussing around with front and back loops. With that being said, I like the texture that a front and back loop gives. So what I have figured out is a way to circumvent having to do a front or back loop and kind of do my own thing. So we're going to do that right now, and I'm going to show you how I do this. So let's get our linen yarn. Again, this is I Love This yarn from Hoblob in the colorway linen. Liz, have a great day. Thanks for being here. Yeah, there's a lot of people that aren't a fan of the front and back loop. I love the look too, Crochet 26. It's not my favorite thing to do, but I will do it. You know, I will do it because I like the look that it gives. But I like this look even better because I feel like it's easier to do. So for the very first stitch, I'm going to start with a standing double crochet. 1 second here. Let me zoom in so we can do a little stitch looking. All right. I'm going to start with a slip knot on my hook. Marcia, welcome in. I see you over there on YT. Okay. Start with a slip knot on our hook. Now, when we finished our square, we ended right here in this corner. What I always recommend whenever you're working on a granny square or working on something in the round, make sure that you choose a different corner. So I will not start right here. There's 2 reasons. Have you ever worked on a blanket and you have it where it gets kind of elongated on one side and it doesn't stay square? That will come from working all in the same corner. The other thing I think about is logistically weaving in this tail. If I'm weaving in the tail in this corner and I start in this corner, that's going to make it so that I have to weave in two tails in the same corner. And I never want to try to do that. I always want to try to stagger those out. So, very important, rotate your work around, choose any other corner to begin with, and we're going to start with a half double in the corner. Now, if you do not like to do a half double, a standing half double, you could start with a chain of 2 here, and that would be a perfectly acceptable way to do this. So, I start with a slip knot on my hook. We're going to wrap our hook around so that we have 2 loops on our hook. Now, very important to secure your tail. If you do not hold on to that tail, what happens is your yarn will spin off and you will be back down to 1 loop on your hook. I have transplanted to Alabama. I am originally from Arizona, and I've been in Alabama since 2020. We relocated, my husband and I, but I definitely do not have the traditional Alabama accent. I have an Arizona accent. I don't know. JT says I have a like long draw at the end, but it's I don't know. He can explain it better. Okay, so back to our standing half double. Wrap our yarn around. Make sure you're securing that tail. You have 2 loops on your hook. Then we're going to take our hook and we're going to go down through that corner space. Now, my hand is cramped up here because I'm holding this tail. And if I let go, again, that's going to spin off. So what I do is I twist my hand forward and I transfer the job of holding that tail to Mr. Thumb. Once again, I'm keeping those 2 loops on my hook. If he lets go, that's going to spin off. I yarn over and pull up a loop, so I have 3 loops on my hook. And then I yarn over and I pull through all 3. Now I've made a standing half double. Now I'm going to go back into this space. Excuse me first. I need to chain 2. For the half double rounds that we're going to do, we're only going to have 1 half double in the corner, chain 2, and then we need another half double in the corner. Okay. So our half double rows are going to be different. They're not going to have 2 double crochets like we've been doing on these rows. Now what we're going to do is we're going to work in the 3rd and 4th loop, and we're going to give a line of texture to these stitches. So as you are looking at your crochet stitches, everybody is familiar with the front and back loop. When you look at the top of your crochet, you have what looks like a sideways V. This stitch that is facing me is called the front loop. This stitch that is away from me is called the back loop. Traditionally in crochet, we work under both of those loops. We'll put our hook through and we'll make our stitches. Now, sometimes pattern writers will have you work just in the front loop, and sometimes they'll have you work just in the back loop. That is to add texture to your project. However, with a half double crochet, you'll remember that's what we just did. When you turn your work forward, there are some other stitches that are chilling right here at the back of the stitches. This right here is the back loop. Okay, so front, here's the back. Directly behind and underneath is this little gem that we call the 3rd loop. And it's down here hidden. Directly to the left of that, there is another loop that is chilling right here. Kind of see that. That is called the 4th loop. And so what I'm going to do is, instead of working on the front and back, I'm going to ignore those. I'm going to bring my hook down and I'm going to work my stitches under these 2 loops, the 3rd and 4th loop. That's right. I like to call it the dirty little 3rd loop because it is hidden back here behind our other stitches. So where'd my hook go? We're going to start right here with the very first stitch. Okay. So as you're looking at your crochet stitches, let's talk about where the top of this stitch is, because this is very important in this pattern. This right here is our first stitch. When you crochet right-handed, the top of that stitch always sits to the right of the post. So this is the post, this is the top of that stitch. So I'm going to turn forward, I'm going to wrap my yarn around. That third loop is right here, and then there is that fourth loop. So I'm going to go under both of those and make a half double. If you miss that first stitch, what's going to happen is your stitch counts are going to be off and you're not going to have enough stitches as you work across the top. Okay. So once again, yarn over, turn our work forward. There's that third loop, and there is the fourth loop, half double. And I'm just going to work that all the way across with a half double stitch for the entire length of our project, all the way around. Now, as you start doing this more, you'll find that you get faster with this. And I'll actually just push both those on with my finger as I'm making it. I'll just kind of put it here and kind of do this slide right here like this, and I'll grab up both at once. Sometimes it doesn't work and I have to actually like go under both. But what is happening, and the reason why we're doing this is in place of our back post double crochet. So we're creating this line of texture. These are the front and back loops that are flipping forward, and we're putting those stitches behind. Okay. Here's the thing, guys. I'm not here to tell you what to do and what not to do. If you don't like working in this third and fourth loop and you want to do a back post stitch, knock yourself out. You're not going to hurt my feelings. Go ahead and do it. You might say, I don't want to do any of the stitches. I don't care about that line of texture. I'm just going to work a half double and have the color change. That's fine too. So, a pattern, as you know, is a set of guidelines. And as a matter of fact, I'm not even writing a pattern for this because to me, it's just some stitches I threw together. I think you have the creative liberty to change things up however you see fit for your crochet work. Okay. So, once again, um, that chain of two might be too big in the corner. I think I need to do a chain of one here, as a matter of fact. Let me frog this back, y'all. Sorry. Ribbit, ribbit, ribbit. I only want a chain of one. I kind of forgot that I did only a chain of one here. So corners, half double, chain one, half double. All right, this will just take me a minute. Let me pop these back in, y'all. Sorry, my bad. Better to correct it. If you do a chain of two, I just felt like it got a little too like too big of a space in the corner. I didn't like how it looked. Yeah, Mama Wheeler's right. Do whatever floats your boat. Boy, we got a heck of a rainstorm here, yesterday also. I was gonna tell you, Mom, we had a trash moving gully washer come through, nothing like the one you had the other day that you sent me the picture of, but oh, Dan, you're very welcome. Or Danny, excuse me. Danny, you are very welcome. I am far from an expert crocheter, y'all, but I just come on here and I ramble about crochet and whatever. So y'all are here for it. Okay, so here we go. Into the corner, half double, chain one, half double. Now we're going to start back out again. Remember, the first stitch always sits to the right. Turn our work forward. There's that third loop. There's the fourth. You also can work this stitch in just the third loop as well. Let me put a few stitches in here. For those that are not familiar with this process, let me show you why I'm taking the time to incorporate in the fourth loop. So all of these stitches I've done right now, I've done through 2 loops of yarn. I like to try to use 2 loops whenever I can, just because I feel like it makes it a little more sturdy and stable. However, you could only work under the third loop if you want. So here's the front loop, here's the back loop, here is that third loop. You could always work your stitches under just the third loop. A lot of patterns are written this way. But let me show you the difference in why I try to incorporate in that fourth loop. Again, no rules. However you want to do this is totally fine. When I pull on these stitches over here on the right that I went under 2 loops, these are very nice and secure to my work. However, when I work on this and I only go in the third loop, can you see the difference of how those stitches pull? So in my mind, I think about like how many times is this blanket going to get washed? How many times is the dog going to drag around? this blanket, all the wear and tear. So obviously these stitches will go back, right? It's not a thing. It's not going to like ruin my work. But if I can make it so that it under here, I'm pulling with the same strength. I feel like it makes it a much more sturdy border. Sabrina says that's my problem with just doing front or back loops. So Sabrina, let me show you my trick for that. Let me frog this back. Sabrina, let me give you my 2 cents here on this. It depends on what stitch you are doing. When you're doing a double crochet, it's not as obvious as a half double crochet. If I was asked to work in the back loop of a half double, what I will do, this is our front loop, this is our back loop. I will go down through that back loop, but I will also go under that third loop and pull up a loop that way. So I literally put the angle of my hook like almost perpendicular, like straight up and down. And I go under that back loop, then under that third loop and pull that up. Same thing applies. This is what Sabrina is talking about. Guys, this is a very, very good point. And I appreciate you making this on the live, Sabrina. Here's the front loop. Here's the back loop. Pattern writers will tell you to go in just the back loop. Have you ever made a blanket and it looks like this, right? And you start working it across and it's pulling up tall like that? Oh, for me, this is cringe, right? It's really cringe. It stresses me out if I'm being honest. But if you incorporate in that third loop, see how that is more secure? It still pulls up a little, probably because I've been yanking on this, but it does make it more secure if you pull in that third loop. And you can also find a third loop on a double crochet as well. It's a little harder to see, but it's still there on a double crochet. So you can definitely find it as well. Let me show you a double crochet so I can kind of show you where it's at. So here's a double crochet. Let me do a couple so I have something to hang on here as I'm showing y'all. So if your pattern asks you to work in the back loop, okay, so let's look at this again, the anatomy of a stitch. Here's the top of the stitch. This one that's facing us is the front loop. This one right here is the back loop. So what the pattern writer will do is they'll tell you to work in just that back loop. If you turn this forward, do you see this little guy chilling right here? That's the third loop. So when I work in the back loop of a double crochet, I never work in the back loop only. I will go down. Again, as I'm working this, you will see me. I turn my hook almost straight up and down, and I go right down through. And when you do that, change the angle of your hook, you will automatically grab up both of those loops. So you grab up the back loop and you grab up the third loop, and that will make your work more secure. Okay, so that's another little cheat for today, if you will. Oops, keep my crochet hook. Let me put my scissors away. But Sabrina, I hope that helps you. Give it a try. I know. You're probably at work and you're like, oh, I can't do it right now. I can't wait to get home and try this. So back to our square. You can understand now why I like to work in both the third loop and the fourth loop, because I like to work under both loops of yarn. It just feel like it makes my blanket much more sturdy. Sorry, y'all. I'm probably missing a bunch of comments right now because when I do these, I actually have to look at my work to make sure I'm getting both of those loops grabbed up. Okay. Bear with me here. We'll be back around in no time and I'll be able to start this next round with y'all so that you can see how we go from here. So we had across this stitch, let me count these: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. And then in the corner, we have 1. I want to make sure I didn't get them. I didn't miss any. So we're going to end up with 16 because we're doing 1 in the corner on each side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I need one more here. This one where I join always kind of eludes me. So when in doubt, count it out. Make sure that I kind of split that stitch there. Oopsies. Sorry, Mr. Yarn. Sometimes that hoblob can be a little splitty. Okay, now into the corner. We need half double. chain 1, and half double. Okay, now we're going to work back around. Again, this is our first stitch out right here. This is the legs of the stitch. This is the top of the stitch. The top of the stitch, when you're right-handed, always sits to the right. Now, if you're a lefty, it's going to sit on the other side, okay? But for us righties, follow the legs up. That's the first stitch. Turn our work forward. There's that third loop. And there is the fourth loop. You guys will notice when I'm doing these stitches, whenever I do like back post or front post or anything where it requires me to kind of like look and get the angle right for my stitches, I will hold my thumb here. This thumb becomes my controller of the yarn that's on my hook. It might not be comfortable for everybody, but I learned this when I was doing my back post when I was first learning, because what would happen is I'd yarn over and then I'd go down and I'd try to get underneath this stitch and this yarn would slide to the tip of my hook. And it just made it so that it was really hard for me to see where I needed to go when I was first learning. And so what I started doing is adding my thumb here. So as I yarn over, it's habit now. I will pull that yarn back and then I will slide under the stitches. The whole time I'm controlling this yarn over here. And then I'll let go so that I can pull up and do it. But it's just like instinctively now that I do it. Uh-oh, somebody got filtered, y'all. Keep it nice in here, friends. We don't want to upset the TikTok GODS, you know. Ireland, yes, I will absolutely look at your message. I'm sorry if I missed your note here on the chat. We've been doing a lot of Stitch Talk today, and we've had a lot of tourists come through. Can I call y'all tourists? We have our OGs that are here all the time, but we have a lot of new tourists stopping by. And so the chat has been very busy. I apologize if I have missed your comment. You can always feel free to DM me, guys. I'm always around. I do work full time, but that's always an option if you need to let me know. You can always email me too. That's fine. Wheeler8acres at the Gmail. Pink Cloud, good morning. Welcome. Okay, last one. Again, turn our work forward. There's that third loop. There's our fourth loop. And you can see how this texture is starting to form on this square. Yeah, we have had a lot of new folks today. This is how our community keeps to growing, right? I appreciate everybody who's been hanging out this morning. I didn't want that to sound like I don't appreciate it. Maybe it did. My bad. I didn't mean for it to be like that. We've had lots of new friends. Marion, welcome. Okay, here we go. Corner again, half double, chain 1, half double. Now, here's our first stitch. Follow the legs up. This is the top of the stitch. And again, there's that third loop, and there is that fourth loop. Half double, and we're going to work that half double all the way across. This is probably one of the most difficult rows of this blanket. Once again, guys, depending on your skill level of your crocheting, you do not have to do this little maneuver here, okay? There is nothing wrong with working this right in the top of your stitch. So if you want and you're not comfortable doing this, just do your half doubles right here across the top, okay? I encourage people to try new things, right? And reach outside of your comfort zone. But there are some of us that are beginner crocheters that are just not ready to do this type of technique that I'm doing. There is nothing wrong with doing your half doubles right like this across the top, okay? So change it how you need to, and remember that you can always do that, all right? For those that are a little bit further along, what we're doing is we're ignoring the front loop, ignoring the back loop. We're turning our work forward. We're going under that third loop that's hidden back there. There's the third. And then I'm also grabbing up the fourth loop and I'm working these half double crochets. So all it is a half double crochet. As with all crochet, it's just an illusion. We're placing our stitch in a different part of the granny that we made in order to show a different texture. The linen yarn feels puffier as well. It definitely feels puffier, Paloma. Um, I find that a lot with the I love this yarn variegates. I feel like sometimes they're silkier and like thinner feeling than their others. Both of these yarns are, I love this yarn. This one is linen and this one is river ripple. I think it'll be all right. I don't think you'll notice it once I get the entire blanket done. Yeah, you could even front post it if you want. You could front post it. You can, Kelly, you could do lots of different things. I have to be at work at 10 o'clock Alabama time. So right now we're coming up on almost 9 o'clock. But I'm going to try to, actually, maybe I'll stop here and then we can resume tomorrow on the live. And maybe I'll talk through the entire section of this, or I could stay on and do another row, but then it's going to be broken up into two videos. Work is interfering with our crochet time. I know. I don't want to make the video too long because then it makes it like longer to get through. Maybe it's better if we stop here. We'll just stop. And so on one YT, we'll have the center square. And then tomorrow we'll come back and we'll work with this linen. We've done a lot of outside stitch talk, which I think has been good as we've been talking about how to start stitches and, with standing doubles versus like chains. So I think that has been beneficial, but it has been a little squirrely today. So I think this is probably a good stopping point. Thank you all so much for all of the taps and whatnot. We'll come back tomorrow, and from the jump, we're going to start. I'm going to pull this linen color out, and we're going to redo this row, and we'll start from scratch. That way, we'll have two videos over on YouTube. We can have the center, and then we'll have one that is the repeater section. Okay, so that's a good point. Anyhow, I hope you guys all have a wonderful Wednesday. Thanks everybody for popping by. I've seen lots and lots of new followers as well. If you are new to the channel, my name is April and I'm a hobby crocheter. We'll be back tomorrow at 7:30. This is a pattern that I just kind of dreamed up, I don't know, last week. I wanted to make a blanket for donation. And so it's called the Ripples of Love blanket. It's a very simple pattern. We're doing crisscrosses, we're doing double crochets, and we're doing half double crochets. Once again, this is the color palette we're going to be doing as we continue to work these rounds. So we're just getting started. We started all of this yarn right here that we used or are going to be using is I love this yarn. This is River Ripple. That is this colorway that we did this morning. Now we're moving to linen. Then we're going to have Arctic ice. Then we're going to have sea blue. And those are all I love this yarns. And then for our outside rows, we have Red Heart Super Saver. This is Buff Fleck. I wanted it to look like sand. So you can see it's got those little yarn chiplets in there. I don't know if chiplet is a word, but it is now. And then we're going to finish with a dark teal. And then I think what I'm going to do for the ruffle border is come back with the sea blue color and do the ruffle in this color. So that's the agenda. But thank you to all of the new followers. Thank you so much to all of our OGs that are here all the time supporting me and helping keep up with the chat. I really appreciate it. Shout out to our moderators, Miss Kelly. What would we do without you? Thank you so much for all that you do for the chat. On behalf of everybody, thank you, thank you. I hope you all have a fabulous day, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Bye, everyone. Have a great day. Bye for now.